I got oh I wish to be. Faham tak apa yang dia cakap? Tak faham langsung? Okey, saya nak tanya Rakis satu soalan. Rakis boleh tak kira 1 sampai 20 dalam bahasa Inggeris? Cuba. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Tak tahu dah. Lepas tu tak tahu dah.
My name is Jaya Lachmi. I old is 20 years old.
20 years old? What is 13?
13 years old.
13.
13 years old.
Okay, Jaya, can you please read this for me? When?
When I
Cuba.
when I
So do you know what the line is? When I grow up, I want to be. So these students are 14 years old and they are unable to read a simple sentence of when I grow up, I want to be. They don't know what their aspirations are and some of them cannot even count up to 20. So try to think about your own journey, when you were in secondary school. Were you able to at least speak, English, count up to 20 and be able to tell others, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor, or when I grow up, I want to be an engineer, which is what all of you are studying here today. And this is the reality of a lot of students in Malaysia. It's just that a lot of times we have been living in that bubble where we are surrounded by people who are above average and people who are able to speak and converse well and people who have opportunities in life. So I just want you to take a step back and think about your own education journey. So think about the kind of schools that you went to when you were in primary school, secondary school. Think about the kind of teachers that you had, the family that you had to support you. Did you go for tuition? Did you have teachers who were encouraging? Did you have the chance to participate in different co-curricular activities? And the reality remains that for a lot of children in Malaysia, they do not have that opportunity. And that's why that is such an urgent and great problem that we need to solve in Malaysia. So that education gap is caused by many, many things in Malaysia. So this is a term that we call education inequity. So the fact that where you were born and where you come from determines the kind of opportunities that you get in education, and then after that it determines the kind of future that you're going to have. So let's say if someone comes from a rural area or someone comes from an extremely poor family, the likelihood of them succeeding in life or the likelihood of them following the same path as their parents is higher rather than breaking out of that poverty cycle. So some very quick facts, right? Only 15% of Malaysians attain some form of tertiary education. And I'm not just talking about degree or master's or PhD. I'm just talking about even things like diploma or pre-university level. So any form of education that you get after SPM, only 15% of Malaysians get that. And all of you here today are considered part of that 15%. And to think that, we used to think that, it's just natural that we should go to university. You don't even give it a second thought that, should I go to university? It just comes naturally to you that you should. And if you look at this chart here, PISA is actually a test that looks at the English, mathematics, as well as science performance of students in Malaysia. And if you see students' performance, the average of all countries is there, the one highlighted in green. But for Malaysia, we are ranked at the bottom third quartile. So our performance is really, really low. And another quick statistical point that I wanted to share with you is, if you look at schools in Malaysia, they are divided into different bands. So band 1 and 2 being the best performing schools, and band 6 and 7 being the lowest performing schools. And if you see the chunk that, the one that's highlighted in blue, it means the students are receiving some form of monetary aid to pay for their uniform or to pay for their day-to-day food expenses. And it goes to show that, you know, the poorer the performance of the school, the higher the number of people who need this form of aid and this form of bantuan from the school. So it goes to show you a correlation between your socio-economic background as well as your educational performance. So the question that we want to answer today is, you know, how can we work towards a state where no child's educational success or their future is limited by, number one, their geographical location. So whether you're born in a rural area or whether you're born in a city, the postcode in which you were born in should not determine whether you succeed in life. The next one, your family background. So whether you come from a broken family or whether you come from a family which really supports you, we don't want that to be a determinant as well on whether a child gets to go to college or whether a child will have a good life in the future. And last but not least, the amount of money that is in your parents' bank account. So if your parents are really, really poor, it will most likely affect, you know, the child's education outcome as well. And we don't believe that that's right. So all children should have the opportunities to succeed in life, regardless of where they were born, regardless of what kind of family they were born in, and regardless of their socioeconomic status as well. And this is a picture that I really like to show people usually. So if you look at the difference between equality and equity, so a lot of people ask us, you know, why do you say that the problem that you want to solve is education inequity and not inequality? The difference is this: if you're talking about giving equal amount of resources, if some of you have learned a bit of economics during your course of study, equal means giving everyone 10, 10, 10, so everyone is fair. But let's say if someone comes from different background, giving them the same amount of money will not make them any better. But inequity or inequity here actually means that, you know, you give the person what they need to be on the level playing field as their more privileged counterparts. So that is what we are trying to solve. We are trying to solve education inequity by giving more opportunities to those who are from the highest need areas. And so how are we going to solve this problem? It's through this model called the fellowship model. So just now your lecturer has mentioned before, Teach for Malaysia is actually adapted from Teach for America. So it started off in America. So Teach for America is actually the pioneer of this whole Teach for model. And this model works in such a way that it gets fresh graduates and also young professionals from non-education backgrounds to commit 2 years of their life to teach in schools, to teach in public schools. And currently there are close to 40 network partners, for example, Teach for Australia, Teach for Japan, Teach for China. Any country you name it, most likely there is a Teach for partner. So all of them are there to solve the same problem as well, to close the gap between the privileged and the less privileged. And so what we are looking for is we want to recruit Malaysians who are passionate in making a difference to teach in high-need schools. And we don't just go to any school in Malaysia, we specifically go to schools that are really in need, schools that are challenging, and schools that, you know, the students are not performing well academically, the school where, you know, most of the students come from less privileged backgrounds, because that's where the need is the greatest, and that's where we want to go. And so what we do is we recruit and select people. So it could be fresh graduates like you. You don't have to have an education background to join Teach for Malaysia. We also recruit young professionals as well. There are a lot of young professionals who have been working, say, for 1, 2, or 3 years, or even some of them been working for 5, 6 years, and they realize that, you know, they don't quite get that fulfillment or satisfaction in their jobs, and they really want to do something meaningful. And that's when they realize that, you know, they want to join Teach for Malaysia. And then we develop them to become transformational leaders and teachers in schools and also the community. So because all of you come from non-educational backgrounds, we actually have a very structured training program. In fact, it's running right now in our office for 2 months, intensive training to prepare you with all the skills and also the mindsets to be able to teach in schools for 2 years. And during the 2 years, you will also do something called the Postgraduate Diploma in Education, or in other words, DPLI. And this education qualification enables you to continue teaching in schools in the future beyond the 2 years if that is what you desire. And last but not least, I think this is one of the biggest selling points of Teach For Malaysia is that, we want our fellows to be part of an alumni movement to drive long-term systemic impact. So if you think about education, education is not just a problem with one solution. You need different kinds of very multi-dimensional solutions, and solutions that are very adaptable because of the complexity of the problem itself. It's easy to say, oh, this student is not doing well because of the teacher, because he or she doesn't have good teachers in school. But what if you put great teachers in school, but you're not solving the problem of him not being able to eat well or sleep well at home because he has to work 2 or 3 different odd jobs, even while he's a kid.